How does Vanacek move across so slowly on that OT goal? Are you kidding me? Caps lose 3-2 against the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime. Surprise, surprise. All right, let's make this one quick because I'm already sick of talking about this one. Raise your hand if you can find anything good that happened in this game. Don't worry, I'll wait. There is not a lot to talk about in this game because not a lot happened for the Capitals in this game. They got outplayed for 62 whole minutes. There is one stat that I find super interesting about that game, and that is hits in this game. When the third period started, the Caps were out hitting the Pittsburgh Penguins 26-5. That does not happen. I guess what I should say is that doesn't happen to the Caps in a game where they end up losing. The Caps quintupled Penguins in shots before the third period even started. How is that a tie game going into the third period? It's because the Caps played this game on hopes and dreams. Hopes, dreams, and pitchforks is what I call this game. You know, a pitchfork, like, you know, you just poke at it, just poke. It felt like the Caps played the entire game just hoping that something was gonna go right, hoping that every pass and hoping that every shot was going to turn out well. It just felt like every Caps player was hoping that another Caps player was going to save the day. And I got hopeful too when Richard Panik scores his goal, when he drives to the net and with force and just he asserts himself into the game like that. You just pray that the rest of the team is going to see that and take note of that and start playing with the same veracity, but it just doesn't happen. Well, there's not many words for that game. It was a game that was just all around bad, and it starts from the lines. The lines, I get what's happening here. Peter Laviolette, he made changes mid-game against New Jersey, and it worked out really well, and so he sticks with those lines or somewhere along those lines of the changes he made, and it just doesn't work out. There was no chemistry, there was no flow, there was no ingenuity, there was no creativity, there's so many different things that we can say it wasn't, but there's almost nothing you can say that it was. Yeah, I guess that's just the best way you can describe it. There's nothing that this game was for the Capitals. It's everything that it wasn't. I was really hopeful that Peter Laviolette was going to switch all of the lines back to how we've seen them for the past 2 or 3 weeks after that first period. Once that first period ends and you can just tell nothing is working out for the Caps, I'm hoping second period starts and I'm hoping we see Backstrom back on the top line with Ovechkin and Wilson and Kuzi centering Oshie and Vrana, and I'm hoping everything goes back to how it was, but that doesn't happen. Even all the way down to our beloved fourth line, my beloved fourth line, our fourth line that has been a line together all season. They've moved up to the second line at one point, they've been the third line a couple times, but they've been our fourth line checking line all season. They were just bad in this game, and it's not just them, it was the whole team, but it's sad to see even down to your most consistent line, they were not good. I don't even want to talk about goals this game because it's just not pretty, but I want to talk about officiating, and before I even talk about officiating, I'm just going to preface all this with, I am not blaming the officials for this loss. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm going to get at here is the lack of consistency that I've seen not only in this game, but in multiple games this season, all the way back to pretty much game 1. Real quick, just over a minute into the game, Malkin gets called for goaltender interference, and that's the first time in a long time I've seen a goaltender interference called just flat out clean, like not like a goal went in and it got overturned and there was goaltender interference, like goaltender interference happened. And I watched the replay and I'm like, oh, that wasn't goaltender interference because Orlov checks Malkin into Vanacek, and when your defender checks a player into your goalie, that's not goaltender interference. But I'm not gonna complain because that's a power play for the Caps and that's my team, so let's go. 2 minutes of power play go by, nothing comes of that, but just 2 minutes after the power play ends, guess what? Alexander Ovechkin, another Russian, gets called for goaltender interference. And I watched the replay of that one and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not goaltender interference either. That's just incidental contact, as they call it. Well, let's just chalk it up to a makeup call because the refs realized they got the first call wrong, so they obviously have to give one to the Penguins to even things out. Unfortunately, that freebie to the Penguins ends up biting the Caps in the ass, and the Penguins go up 1-0. Malkin on a great deflection down low. Nothing Vanacek can do about that one. Then about halfway through the game, there's some extracurricular activities around the net. Vanacek makes a save, and then Gensel stabs Orlov in the back of the knee. Gensel gives a little chuckle, he skates off, he takes his 2 minutes, nothing comes of the power play for the Caps. And all these penalties called in the first period tell me that the refs are trying to lock down this game. They're trying to get a hold of this game early on so that it doesn't get out of control in the late third period when things can really start to snowball out of control. But then it seemed like the refs put the whistles away in the second period and it seemed like nothing was going to get called until 16 minutes into the second period, the Tom Brady complex sets in for the NHL referees. Puck gets sent across the blue line into the Caps defensive zone. Sidney Crosby tries to chase after it, and Justin Schultz gets called for kneeing. That's right, kneeing. That's knee-on-knee contact, kneeing. Watch that replay, folks. That is not kneeing. Justin Schultz doesn't even move his leg. Sidney Crosby has the responsibility of getting around his defender in that play, but what does he do? He tries to flop and draw a penalty, and he gets the call because it's Sidney Crosby. Before I go any further, let me call back to my preface. I'm not blaming the refs for this loss. I'm just calling out things that I think need to be called out. You know, there's also a penalty in hockey called embellishment, and in my opinion, Crosby embellishmented. Anyway, enough about the penalties in the second period. The second period ends up becoming a goalie battle because, as I said earlier, the Caps played everything with hopes and dreams. Every pass, every shot was a prayer that something good was going to happen, and that leads to defensive breakdowns on your end. Thank goodness, Vitek Vanacek comes up huge many times in this game, and he keeps it a tie game at the end of 2. Oh, then here comes the third period. Malkin jumps into Dylan's face, causing him to bleed. That's 2 minutes for charging, no call. Oh, look, there's Lafferty holding the stick. That's a 2-minute penalty, no call. And oh, look, Crosby hooking again. That's a 2-minute penalty, no call. And I'm not saying it's going to affect the outcome of the game. All I'm saying is I want to see consistency. It is the most frustrating thing as a fan to see blatant penalties not get called. But in the first period, you have 2 out of the blue goalie interference calls that neither of them should have been called. That's right, neither of them should. Both teams, neither of them should have had a goalie interference penalty in the first, but for some reason, out of the blue, these start getting called, and then in the third period, it's like penalties never happen. In fact, that's 100% correct. There are no penalties in the third period. Check the game sheet. Not a single penalty called in the third period. You watch a replay of that third period, you tell me there are no penalties committed. All right, let me calm down. The third period was actually a very entertaining third period. The second period turned into a battle of the goaltenders. The third period was a tug of war between 2 really good hockey teams. And 2 good teams are on the ice anytime these 2 teams play each other. Look at their 5-game series thus far this season. 5 games, 3 of them have gone to overtime or the shootout. Now the Caps have lost all 3 of those times it's gone to overtime or the shootout, but that's not the point. The point is that many times when these 2 teams play each other, it goes past regulation. It is a white knuckle battle every time these 2 teams play each other, and that's why I get so much anxiety whenever we play the Pittsburgh Penguins. We play Pittsburgh again on Thursday, folks. This is far from over. We have shown that we can beat Pittsburgh, and we have shown that we can step up and answer the call. The call now is how Peter Laviolette responds on Thursday. Thursday is 6 out of 8, folks. 6 meetings out of 8 with the Pittsburgh Penguins this year. We are far from done with the flightless bird this year. What I am done with is giving the Caps a pass for just getting a point. I was down with that at the beginning of the season. I say it all the time, 9-game point streak. Just find a way to win, accumulating points, just getting points. At the beginning of the season, that was cool. We are well past that. We are in quote-unquote mid-season form now, or need to be in mid-season form. We are past the point of learning each other as line mates and learning new coaches and learning new systems. We're past all that. It is time to hunker down and start becoming a team that is going to make a playoff run. And if we don't start now, it could be real big trouble for the Caps. Sky's not falling, folks. I'm not getting there yet, but I need to see a turnaround from the boys in red on Thursday, and for the next 8 or 9 games past that. We have a tough schedule coming up, playing Philly, playing Boston, playing New Jersey again. It is not enough to just pull a point out of a game against these teams. These are top teams in the league. It's not blaming the goaltender. Vanacek kept us in this game. The only reason we got a point this game is because of Vitek Vanacek. It is not coaching. Peter has done his coaching this season. He has made line changes when it needs to be done. He has yelled at the team when they are not performing to a level at which he thinks they should be performing. It's not coaching. It is strictly a will over skill situation. There is a lot of skill on this Washington Capitals team. The problem is skill alone will not win the hockey game. Skill alone will snag you a point. There's no doubt about that. But skill alone will not consistently win in this NHL right now. It takes a full-fledged team to win big hockey games, not just in this league, in this division. This is, in my opinion, extremely, by far, leaps and bounds ahead, harder than any other division in this league right now. I'm not saying teams in other divisions are bad. I'm saying there is a higher aggregate of competitive teams in this division alone than there is in any other division in this league right now. And playing the way they played this game, the Caps are not going to win many more games. Something big has to change. But what do I know? I'm just a fan. Hey, if you like this video, smash that thumbs up button for me. It goes a long way towards helping the channel. And if you enjoyed your time here, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to see you come back. And as always, let's go Caps!